Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. Severe storms in the south as millions brace for a super soaker that could last into the work week. At least one tornado on the ground in Tennessee with homes damaged. Severe weather stretching from Texas to Ohio. The storm that buried the west in snow now threatening the northeast with drenching rains. 56 million people under flood watches from Virginia to Maine. New York City warning of flooding on highways and in basements. Somara Theodore timing it all out. Also tonight, the historic abortion battle playing out in Texas. The state Supreme Court steps in to stop a mother of two from having an emergency abortion. Doctors say her fetus is not viable and carrying it to term could threaten her health and future fertility. Why the Texas Attorney General argues her case does not meet the state's criteria allowing for an abortion. Breaking news, University of Pennsylvania President Liz McGill resigns. She'd been under pressure from donors and alumni after she appeared before Congress, declining to say that a call for genocide against Jews would violate the university's code of conduct, what we've just learned. To the Middle East and fierce fighting in the streets of Gaza. Israeli forces battling Hamas in the north. Tonight, the new threat to shipping in the Red Sea and why the U.S. vetoed a ceasefire resolution. Countdown to Iowa with the caucuses just over a month away. The Republican candidates flock to the state in search of support. What voters are saying about whether the field can catch up to former President Trump. New developments in a murder mystery. A high school cheerleader found dead in her home. Her mother making the heartbreaking discovery. Police now releasing surveillance photos and looking for a person of interest. A woman suspected of trying to set fire to the birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr., the Good Samaritans who stepped in to stop it. Baseball's $700 million man, two-way star Shohei Ohtani, and the record deal. And America Strong tonight, the life-saving lesson that helped turn a 7th grader into a hero.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening and thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Whit Johnson. We're following breaking news as we come on tonight. At least 56 million Americans are on alert for severe flooding as a powerful storm system makes its way across the country and will soon take aim at the northeast. But right now, that storm is hammering the south. Multiple tornadoes touching down in the south, causing damage to homes and other structures. These images are from northern Tennessee. A long-track tornado later spotted in Bowling Green, Kentucky, the same area where 17 people died after a different tornado hit almost 2 years ago. And this is how the storm is expected to move into the northeast. High winds and up to 4 inches of rain in the forecast. The New York City area could see the worst of it. City officials already issuing a travel advisory from Sunday into Monday. A flood watch issued for 12 states from Virginia to Maine. ABC meteorologist Somara Theodore leads us off tonight.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This isn't happening.
Tonight, a powerful tornado touching down in northwest Tennessee. Homes and other structures damaged.
Are you guys okay?
A fallen tree reducing half this house to rubble. The ceiling of this home collapsing, spilling insulation everywhere. Down the road, power lines snapped. Across town, first responders reportedly racing to rescue a family trapped in their home.
Look at that thing!
The massive twister spawned by a powerful storm, packing strong winds, heavy rain, and lightning. The long-track tornado later spotted in Kentucky. It's part of the same system set to hit the Northeast Sunday.
All right, let's get right to meteorologist Somara Theodore. And Somara, where's the most dangerous weather threat hitting right now?
Whit, right now, the dire weather situation still unfolding from the Tennessee Valley into Mississippi with a tornado watch remaining in effect. Severe thunderstorms continue to bring damaging winds and heavy rain and tornadoes through the crucial overnight hours. A life-threatening tornado just north of Nashville has led to a tornado emergency. The same system is then going to drive into cities like Atlanta and Charlotte early Sunday morning. And for those living along the I-95 corridor, if you had any plans for your Sunday, running errands, getting holiday shopping done, the earlier the better, as conditions are going to rapidly deteriorate by the afternoon. And this storm is bringing both rain and snow farther inland. Lake effect snow will only enhance the snow totals west of I-95. The heavy rain totals that we are expecting will be anywhere from 2 to 4 inches, and this could lead to some flooding in cities like Washington, D.C., New York, Boston, and as far north as Maine.
And we know you'll be tracking it tomorrow on GMA. Somara, thank you. Tonight, a new twist in a Texas woman's challenge to one of the country's most restrictive abortion laws. The Texas Supreme Court putting on hold a lower court ruling that would have allowed Kate Cox to end her pregnancy. Doctors say her 20-week-old fetus has a fatal diagnosis. But the state of Texas argues she still doesn't meet the criteria for an emergency abortion. The historic case is the first of its kind since Roe v. Wade 50 years ago. Here's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze.
Tonight, a stark reversal in an historic case over access to an abortion in the post-Roe era. The Texas Supreme Court Friday night temporarily blocking 31-year-old Kate Cox from obtaining an emergency abortion after Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton appealed to the court, writing nothing can restore the unborn child's life that will be lost as a result. Time is of the essence. The state's highest court putting a hold on a lower court's ruling Thursday that said Cox qualified for an abortion, despite the state's near total ban.
How urgent is it for Kate Cox right now to be able to get access to an emergency abortion?
Time is of the essence. I mean, the clock is ticking. Every day that goes by, the risks to her health and life and future fertility increase.
Cox, a mother of two from Dallas, is 20 weeks pregnant. Her doctors told her last week her fetus has virtually no chance of survival because of a severe condition called trisomy 18. They warn if she continues to carry the pregnancy, her health and future fertility could be at risk.
There's no outcome here, that results in us taking home a healthy baby girl.
Cox's suit was the first known case of a woman seeking a court order for an emergency abortion since Roe v. Wade in 1973. Texas, one of 21 states enforcing restrictions on the procedure since Roe was overturned. Under Texas law, abortions are banned except if the mother's life is at risk or if it prevents irreversible damage to a major bodily function. The state arguing Cox does not meet those criteria.
Plaintiffs have not shown that they will suffer an immediate and irreparable injury.
Elizabeth Schulze joining us now. And Elizabeth, with this mother arguing her health is in imminent jeopardy, how quickly might the Texas Supreme Court act on this?
The court has given no sense of a timeline here of whether it will allow the lower court's decision to stand, permitting Cox to have an abortion. And this is just the beginning of cases appealing directly to courts for the right to an abortion in states where it's banned. A woman who is 8 weeks pregnant in Kentucky has just filed a similar lawsuit. Whit?
All right, Elizabeth, thank you. Now to the news just coming in tonight. The University of Pennsylvania president, who had come under sharp criticism after her testimony on Capitol Hill on anti-Semitism, has resigned. She had declined to say that a call for genocide against Jews violated the university's code of conduct. Details now from ABC's Phil Lipof.
Tonight, just days after her widely criticized testimony before Congress, embattled University of Pennsylvania President Liz McGill has voluntarily resigned, saying in a statement, "It has been an honor to work with our faculty, students, staff, alumni, and community members to advance Penn's vital missions." On Tuesday, alongside the presidents of Harvard and MIT, responding to questions on anti-Semitism, it was this stunning exchange that prompted calls for her to resign.
I am asking, specifically calling for the genocide of Jews, does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If it is directed and severe or pervasive, it is harassment.
So the answer is yes.
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
Hours after that testimony and bipartisan backlash, this apology.
I was not focused on, but I should have been, the irrefutable fact that a call for genocide of Jewish people is a call for some of the most terrible violence human beings can perpetrate.
Since the October 7th Hamas terror attack on Israel and Israel's bombardment of Gaza, tensions flaring, especially on U.S. college campuses. Since the start of this school year, the Anti-Defamation League says 73% of Jewish college students reported experiencing or witnessing anti-Semitism on campus. Less than half say they feel safe on campus.
And Phil Lipof is back with us now. Phil, you're learning more about the Department of Education widening its investigation into anti-Semitism on college campuses?
Exactly. The Department of Education has opened up investigations into 10 universities and colleges. Now the University of Pennsylvania and Harvard are among them. These are schools where students report high incidents of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. Whit.
Phil Lipof tonight, thank you. Now to the war between Israel and Hamas. Tonight, the battle intensifying. These images put out by the IDF show fierce fighting in northern Gaza between Israeli Defense Forces and Hamas. And tonight, the new aid package from the State Department. ABC's Inez de la Catera from Israel tonight.
Tonight, intense combat in the Gaza Strip. Firefights in northern Gaza seen in videos released by Israel's Defense Force and Hamas. IDF soldiers who've been operating there telling us the fighting on the ground is intensifying.
We understood that the fact that for a week we're stopping the pressure from Hamas terrorists will allow them to reinforce themselves, to get prepared, to get more ammunition.
As the war is entering its third month, the death toll in Gaza now over 17,000, according to the Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry. A report from UNICEF tonight says almost 1 million children have already been displaced amid the conflict. This family describing the tough conditions at a shelter in Rafah, saying, "We make food, but it is limited because it is rare. Our whole day is about trying to live with what exists, even though there is nothing to live with." At the UN, a resolution for a ceasefire was vetoed by the United States, the only country to vote against it. Humanitarian organization Doctors Without Borders calling it a vote against humanity. But the U.S. defends its decision, pointing to a lack of condemnation for the horrific terror attack on October 7th, including the sexual violence unleashed by Hamas.
Although the United States strongly supports a durable peace in which both Israelis and Palestinians can live in peace and security, we do not support this resolution's call for an unsustainable ceasefire that will only plant the seeds for the next war.
The Israeli prime minister responding by saying he greatly appreciates the correct stance that the U.S. has taken. There are still 137 hostages being held in Gaza. The family of one of those hostages, Sahar Baruch, says he has died after the IDF Special Ops failed to rescue any hostages from a Hamas hideout where they were being held. In Tel Aviv, Israelis are mourning, many turning out at a vigil for those who are missing or lost after the attack on October 7th. But they are also angry. Only a few blocks away, other demonstrators accusing the government of ignoring warning signs in the days leading up to the attack.
Week after week, we saw that they're not doing the right thing, and I think we understand that we're going to a long war, so we have to do it now.
And with tonight, the Houthis are saying they plan to blockade any aid to Israel coming through the Red Sea unless more food and medicine is made available to Gaza. Tonight, the State Department also saying it plans to send $107 million worth of tank ammunition and equipment to Israel, and that they are committed to Israel's security. Whit.
Inez de la Catera reporting from Israel tonight. Thank you. And tune into This Week tomorrow morning. Martha Raddatz speaks with Secretary of State Antony Blinken about the latest on the Israel-Hamas war and its domestic fallout. We do move on now to Iowa with just over a month to go until the First in the Nation caucuses, which will help decide the Republican nominee. Former President Trump is leading by double digits in the polls as the remaining hopefuls scramble for some late momentum. ABC's Mary Alice Parks with the candidates in Iowa tonight.
Tonight, Republican candidates sharpening their criticism of their main opponent, Donald Trump.
Rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him.
Telling Iowans that voting for the former president invigorates Democrats.
They need that negative partisanship that they can say Trump, Trump, Trump and get people to come out.
I want to choose someone who is going to be able to unite both the Republican Party and the country.
But Trump is leading Iowa polls by 25 points, according to 538, and some voters think the nomination is just his to lose.
Could any of them beat Trump here in Iowa?
Yeah, I think they could.
Yeah. You hesitated more.
Yeah.
He'll get the nomination again.
You say it with a sigh.
Yeah, there's worse guys for the job, but there's better guys for the job.
Businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, the youngest candidate in the race, bonding with college students through a push-up challenge. But he struggled to make friends Wednesday at the fourth GOP debate.
Is Nikki Haley, who thinks the government should identify every one of those individuals.
The crowd booing Ramaswamy repeatedly when he attacked his competition on stage, though he avoids criticizing Trump.
Do you have a likability problem?
I don't think so. I think sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. And I'm a candidate who speaks the truth without constraint.
And it wasn't just the candidates trying to win votes. Governor DeSantis telling me that his wife, Casey, flips voters and draws crowds of her own.
She's a great vote getter, and we're going to look forward to having her out.
Now, the DeSantis campaign has been playing cleanup these last few days after Casey DeSantis, Ron DeSantis' wife there, made comments where she seemed to encourage women in other states to come to Iowa to caucus. The Trump team really jumped on those comments. They said that she was embracing voter fraud. DeSantis had to clarify them with and say that she was just encouraging people to volunteer.
All right, Mary Alice Parks on the campaign trail tonight. Thank you. The CDC is out with an advisory about the spread of Rocky Mountain spotted fever in people who recently returned from Tecate, Mexico. The disease is transmitted by the bite of infected ticks. 5 people in Southern California have been infected since July, all of whom either traveled to Tecate or lived there within 2 weeks of diagnosis. 3 patients died. Officials say the disease is treatable if caught early. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight. This Saturday, a high school cheerleader is murdered. Now police are looking for a person of interest. And how Good Samaritans stepped in to stop a suspected arson attempt at the birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr. Stay with us. Next tonight, the urgent search for the person who killed a high school cheerleader in Texas. Police releasing images of a person of interest now and his car. The body of 16-year-old Lisbeth Medina was found by her mother on Tuesday after she failed to appear at a Christmas parade. The small town of Edna coming together 2 days ago at a football game to honor her memory. In Atlanta, a woman was arrested for allegedly trying to set fire to the birthplace of Martin Luther King Jr. Tourists from Utah recorded video of the woman appearing to splash gasoline on the front of the house. 2 retired officers from New York happened to be there and held her until Atlanta police arrived. The suspect, a Navy veteran, is charged with attempted arson. When we come back tonight, a tennis legend faces a new health crisis, and Shohei Ohtani has a new team and a record contract that's shaking up baseball. To the index now, and baseball has its first $700 million man. Today, Shohei Ohtani posted on Instagram that he's leaving the Los Angeles Angels for the Dodgers. Ohtani brings nearly unprecedented talent to the Dodgers. He's one of baseball's top hitters and pitchers. He just won his 2nd MVP award. His new 10-year, $700 million contract is by far the largest ever in North American team sports. Next, tennis legend Chris Evert has revealed her cancer has returned. Evert, now 68 years old, was first diagnosed with ovarian cancer 2 years ago. The cancer had been in remission. In a statement, she said it was caught early and she's undergoing chemotherapy. Evert will not be part of ESPN's coverage of the Australian Open next month, but hopes to return for the rest of the Grand Slam season. When we come back here tonight, America Strong and a lesson learned how a 12-year-old became a lifesaver. Finally tonight, America Strong, how a middle school lesson turned a student into a lifesaver.
12-year-old Ethan Williams is still getting used to being called a hero.
Let's go to lunch. It was a type of thing where it was like a quick reaction, but it was also kind of scary at the same time.
Ethan and his classmate, Bryce Henry, were eating lunch in their school's cafeteria near Philadelphia when Bryce started choking on a piece of apple.
I was just eating lunch and then it suddenly flew down my throat and then I started choking.
Bryce signaling he was choking, grabbing his throat with both hands. Ethan jumping right into action.
While I was choking, he grabbed my stomach and I didn't know what was happening. And then he did the Heimlich. He literally saved my life. Go right behind him. 1, 2, 3.
Both boys were prepared, learning the Heimlich maneuver in class last spring.
Come here, let me see you, hero.
Maureen Carroll was their proud teacher.
For choking, did you go like this?
And I still knew how to do it, so I used it. And then I went 1, 2, 3.
Textbook. He listened, he learned, he recognized what was happening, and he acted so fearlessly. It validates all the hard work that we put into teaching. Way to go, Ethan. There you go, Ethan.
Ethan sharing this advice for all of us.
You don't always have to save someone's life, but get to know people. Get to know the person, because then when they need you the most, you can be there for them. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And he deserves all of that praise. Way to go, Ethan. Thanks so much for watching tonight. I'm Whit Johnson in New York. I'll see you on GMA in the morning. Have a great night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.